Hello, I'm Shannon Skinner, and welcome to another episode of Extraordinary Women TV. Now, my guest today is Eva Karpati. She is the publisher and editor of Good News Toronto, a publication that celebrates our everyday heroes. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Lovely having you here. Now, what sparked you to want to start Good News Toronto?
6 years ago, we were with some friends who'd been complaining about Toronto. And immediately I was really struck by, first of all, disappointment that they thought that of the city that I love, and that was their perception of Toronto based on just what they had read, not anything that they had experienced. And I was determined to prove them wrong, that Toronto, in fact, was a wonderful place full of amazing people. And I felt the only way to do that was actually to come out with a newspaper that celebrated the wonderful people that we have in the city.
How did you get it off the ground?
Fortunately, the process was really so comforting and so affirming, because people were just coming who wanted to participate, who would help me. I had aspiring journalists. I had journalists who were a little disillusioned with mainstream media and were thrilled about engaging in something so positive. And so I was really not alone throughout any of it, because people were helping and helping and helping through every step.
Did you feel that mainstream media were somehow misrepresenting Toronto, or what did you feel that was really going on?
Well, to be honest, the reason that my friends had this perception was there was a violent crime that had happened, and that was suddenly splashed all over, and that's all people were talking about. Just to fill you in about it, at the same time, my family and I had volunteered down at the Fred Victor Center. And we had met there this woman who was in charge of the restaurant. And on New Year's Day, they offer a free meal to homeless, marginalized people. And this woman, she would welcome everybody in with such respect, with such dignity. And I thought, why is it that someone who perpetuated a horrendous act was on the front covers, but meanwhile Grace, nobody knows about Grace? Shouldn't Grace be on the front cover? And that, I think, is what Toronto is all about. Toronto, as you know for sure, Shannon, all the wonderful people you've interviewed, Toronto is just full of amazing, amazing people, and that's what we should be celebrating, and that's the real Toronto. It's not a lie, that's the actual truth.
Mainstream media has really been highly criticized in how media handles events, what kind of coverage we're seeing. I mean, we've had some very big mass shootings recently, and plane crashes, and there seems to be a lot of coverage on disaster stories, fear-based stories. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is, from your perspective, of somebody who's really striving to bring up good news, the good stories, and which is completely opposite of what we're seeing a lot in many cases? And I won't mention names of particular media, but mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Shannon, it seems like there's this maxim that if it bleeds, it leads, but I'm not sure, to me it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, what started first. Did media present that as what the people need, or did people express that? Are they only drawn towards those stories? I'm not sure, but what's really disturbing to me is that it again perpetuates this sense of living in fear, and that's huge. And that psychically it does horrible things to us, and that we don't really want to get up and get out there. So I'm not sure what it is in that world, but I'm really determined to change that.
So do you think that
tilt the balance just a touch, just a little bit?
Do you think that so there's a place for it, and maybe perhaps what you're doing is trying to balance, to
start to balance it a little
right.
bit. Yes.
Do you think that there's an uphill battle for you? Is it challenging? I mean, anytime an entrepreneur goes up against the status quo, they've got a challenge ahead. So do you think that might be a bit?
It definitely is a challenge. However, I think it resonates with so many people. I'm hoping that it's a trend that takes over. And we see that in the news, as sort of the last part of the news or in the back of the paper, and occasionally it gets a little bit more towards the front. But I'm hoping that it changes and people respond so wonderfully and say, thank you for doing this. So I'm hoping it's a positive, a good trend.
Now for you, fear. How did you get over your fear when you launched this publication? I mean, when you said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do Good News Toronto. I've never done it before, and I'm sure that probably all sorts of fears came up. But how did you push past that? I'm assuming fear came up.
It came up. Actually, once the ball started rolling and I realized what it involved, that's when I started to think, oh my goodness, what have I gotten into? So, really, I dove in actually fearlessly. However, then all the doubts came up. But again, I've been so fortunate that people have come in to say, come on, Eva, let's come on, get back up, let's keep going, So it's the people who've gotten involved. And again, I'm so grateful for them. I've got this fabulous board, I've got these volunteer writers who've, through every step when I've thought, okay, I'm not sure I can go on, they've just kept me going forward, that this is an important endeavor and let's keep at it. So just gratitude to other people.
Now, Eva, it's time for my Good to Know Minute, and I know that you've got a great success tip, so jump right in there.
Oh, well, what I would say is for anybody thinking about a community project, to dive right in, because there is an entire generous giving community out there to help, to go fearlessly, because the support is astounding, overwhelming, but will push anybody to success who's got a great idea to enhance their community.
So for more information about my guests, past guests, upcoming guests, about the show, and to contact me, I'd encourage you to visit the website at extraordinarywomentv.com. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back. Well, if you are interested in transforming your life, I hope these stories have inspired you. You've been watching Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner. See you soon.